Mind heritage, empowering mind.
My name is Gardner RH. I'm a lawyer by profession, but I'm a mind educator and a conscious leadership trainer and facilitator. I'm the program coordinator at the Julius Nyerere Leadership Center. I'm also a lecturer at Makerere and in Kumba University, Department of Law. Anyway, the question is, how do you end up now taking us through emotional intelligence, right? One of my masters was in neuroscience in education. I studied the brain, the mind and how it works. But still today, I'm still trying to understand how the brain works. There are 3 desires of every individual: to be seen, to be heard, and to be understood. As you sit there as leaders, you want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want to be understood. And I'm very positive that this session of ours, we shall leave this place knowing how we can be seen, be understood, and being heard, but not only knowing, but also replicating it to the people we're in charge of. Yes? Sounds good? Perfect. Anyhow, in my discussion today, we shall understand what emotional intelligence is. We'll get a glimpse of what are some of the misconceptions underneath emotional intelligence, and then we'll walk away with practical steps on how we can be seen, be heard, and be understood. Let's imagine you leave this place, which is the most famous hotel here in Gulu. Bomas. Oh yes, I've been there. I've seen it, it's nice. But the pool is small. Anyhow, when you go to Bomas and you sit, you've gone with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, or you've taken yourself out to have a good time, and they bring you the menu. And on this menu, let's call it the emotional menu, we have a plate called fear of omelets, or the omelet fear. The second platter has the sandwich of sadness. The third platter has the juice of frustration. And finally, we have the beans of loneliness. And another, we have the rice of joy. We have the chicken of love. We have the juice of gratitude or happiness. And then we have the meat of peace and serenity. Which one will you choose? Mwagala ebirungi byokka. Yes. Today we are going to have the power on how to choose our menu. We are going to become the chefs so that we are able to prepare, serve, eat, become happy and fulfilled. Because that is the most important part of a leader. If you can't incorporate all these 3, then we cannot be seen, be understood, and be heard. The first time I came across the word emotional intelligence was in 1995. Sorry, in 2015. When was the first time you heard of emotional intelligence?
Mind heritage.
I can't hear you. 2019, last year. Who had it prior to 2015? You see? But the notion of emotional intelligence has come to be understood that leaders who have emotional intelligence lead effectively, live happy and fulfilled. But the underscore is, how can I be emotionally intelligent? Besides, what does emotional intelligence mean? But before we dive into, I'll let you know that emotional intelligence comes from 2 words. Emotion, which means movere. It comes from a Latin word, simply meaning movere. Movement of what? Energy. And intelligence comes from also a Latin word, interregere, which simply means reading between the lines. Are you able to read in between the lines of how the emotions, all on the flow of energy within you? It's a question. Because it starts from your thoughts. How do you think? Then it goes to how do you feel? And how do you act? If you judge me based on my actions, you're judging me prematurely. You need to go back and ask yourself, what triggered him to do what he did? What triggered her to do what she did? And this is the whole essence of emotional intelligence, being able to balance your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. There are 3 myths or misconceptions that many of us know or do not know about emotional intelligence. The first myth is emotional intelligence is the same as being nice. How many of us like being nice or being looked at as being nice? Yes, but that's a myth, because emotional intelligence is not all about being nice. It's all about understanding the people you're in charge of. But before you understand the people, do you understand who you are? But we shall cover all these as we proceed. The second is emotional intelligence is an inborn trait. When you see people who are able to manage their emotions, who are able to be seen, be understood, and be heard, we tend to think that, he was born lucky. No, he wasn't born lucky. It is out of habitual practice. The third is emotional intelligence is less important than cognitive intelligence. Cognitive intelligence simply means you have the knowledge. Information is what knowledge is all about. But emotional intelligence, we're saying you're able to manage the energy within you. Yes? Now, which is better? For example, if I go to Spear Motors and I buy a G-Wagon, 2024 model, it has 6 V horsepower, and they give it to me. And she goes and buys a Vitz. You know that car Vitz, like a small car. 0 mileage, 180. Remember, a BMW has, I think it's 360 kilometers. Hers is 180 definitely. And they put us on the road of Tirinyi. You know, that straight road. I enjoyed the ride going to Mbale the other day. And they're like, all right, guys, you race. Whom do you think will be able to get to Mbale first? Yes? The one with a with a Mercedes-Benz, or the one with a Vitz? Mercedes. Okay. Few people will say that. But now we go back to question. Me who's driving an ML, 366 V horsepower, do I have the knowledge to ride or to drive that vehicle at its full speed? I may not. She may have the knowledge of the Vitz, full speed, and she may overtake me. And in my V-Wagon, I'm like, this person with the Vitz, what does she, think she is? But I cannot manage the vehicle that I have, because I don't have the skill. So when we look at emotional intelligence, it simply means that you're able to manage, understand, and put into practice your cognitive ability, the knowledge, the skill that you have, then also put into ability the emotions, that thing that you have for it to get to its destination. But as we navigate this troubled world, it's very troublesome, right? There are trials and tribulations. I know when you came here, somebody maybe missed their car, missed the boda boda was supposed to bring here. Some of you are seated here thinking about lunch. Some of you are thinking about rent. Some of you are thinking about the loan scheme. It's chaos everywhere. But how do we navigate to become emotionally intelligent? Be seen, be understood, and be heard. You need to have a toolkit. What is in your toolkit? The first thing is your brain. The other is your heart. And then your physiology. The brain, ladies and gentlemen, does one thing: think and store information. And within its capacity, it has other 2 things: fight and flight. If I cannot beat you, I'll run. If I can beat you, we'll get into the fight. But how are you able to get into the fight, or how are you able to run? It goes back to the thoughts that run in your brains. If you want to be good, be seen doing good, or be understood, why is it we never get there? It's because you are products of habits. Every day we do the same things, the same rituals. Think about it for a moment. The things you've been doing for the last 2 years are more or less the same things. My lawyer friends who are pursuing law, you leave law school and you read the same cases back and forth, back and forth. But what's the difference? It's the way you think. So how you manage your thoughts determines how you engage with your emotions, your heart. An average human being has 60 to 100 heartbeats per minute. As you sit there looking at me, 60 per minute. A story of courage. What goes wrong? When your heartbeat increases, we call it what? Pressure. It's going past 100%. So you cannot act or be seen or be understood if you're undergoing pressure, can you? Definitely not. Then finally, we have the body, that housing that you're having, that we call your identity. How are you managing it? But remember, it's just like a sketch, or it's just like a body of a car. What determines the movement and the ability of that car is what is within the engine, the fuel, everything connected to make it perfect. So you need to have a toolkit, and we are going to discuss some of the things that entail our toolkits. When we talk about emotion intelligence, Daniel Goleman made it formula in 2005, but it's a notion that has been into play since 1875. Some scholars or some researchers had studied about emotion intelligence and published, and the thing was put on the shelves. Later, Daniel Goleman came to land on the publication and built and popularized it. And today we have the notion of emotion intelligence, to a fact that he says 74% of people that have emotion intelligence are better leaders. That's why it's incorporated in our training manuals, because we understand that if you're able to understand yourself, to understand your emotions, to manage them, then we're able to relate with the people in charge of. And once we relate, then we develop. The first pillar underneath emotion intelligence is the pillar of self-awareness. Self-awareness is just like your mental trap. Many of us think that we know ourselves. Yes? We think our names are who we are. No. That's for your passport. To know, hey, is Amina, that is who. But who are you? Some of us will say, I'm a land friend. That's not who you are. When we take that education, what remains? When we take away your name, what remains? So we do not, a beautiful girl are here. Yes. So we do not become because we do not know who we are. Self-awareness is very important because we have failed to understand the misconceptions. One is that I have no control over my emotions. How many of us believe we don't have control over emotions? You think it happens automatically. No, you don't. Because you don't understand, then you can't manage. An average human being still has 36 emotions. How do you manage them? Do you know them before you go to manage them? The second is, emotions are irrational. We do things out of irrationality, or we don't have control. But that's not true. We think about the things we do. But the challenge is that we do not know when we think. And these emotions can never be negative or positive. Thinking makes it so. There are negative emotions, for example, anxiety. Do you know some of you perform better when you're anxious? During examination time, when you're cramming those things, you cram better. And when you enter the examination room, you start spitting them out. So can we say anxiety is negative? Thinking makes it so. The other myth is that I'm always self-aware. Nobody is self-aware. It takes constant practice. Constant practice that is intentional. So how do we become self-aware of ourselves? The Greek had it all over the temples in Delphi that man, know thyself. How much do you know of yourself that you're trying to be you? It's a missing puzzle, right? In 2016, at the University of Oxford, they carried out a research. 2 psychologists. They got chimpanzees, they got elephants, they got baboons, they got monkeys, and put them in a room. Now, during that time, they put a very big mirror in front of them. While they slept, they got a white mark and put on their foreheads and got them up. All the animals would look at themselves in the mirror and turn away. But the chimpanzee looked at itself and looked at something that was unnatural. So it went to the mirror and tried to touch the white thing. Right? Whereas all the other animals just moved. It tried to touch. But I think in its consciousness, it realized that what it was touching was actually not on the mirror. It was just reflecting. So it turned and touched itself. Let me ask you, if you are moving on the streets of Gulu, have you ever met somebody and you're like, this man looks like me somehow? Have you ever seen a reflection of yourself? If you've never, you're not aware of yourself. But if you are, then you'll meet so many people that look like you because you've mastered, you've understood who you are, the physiology, right? So, I would want you to go out and read Atomic Habits by James Clear. It tells us, or it teaches us, that whole book, how can you be able to master yourself, to know yourself? How can we change these patterns that are running in our brains and these emotions and how we feel, right? Because that's the starting point. You cannot change what you do not know. But we are looking at 3 steps on how we can manage self. The first one is to stop. Pause. If we say an average human being has 56 thoughts running within your heads in less than a minute. 56 thoughts. You see the way you're looking at me? Now I can see what you're thinking. I'm joking. But they are running. Out of the 56, 80 of those thoughts are negative, which is okay. We are products of negativity. You look at her hair, because you're negative, you're like, I don't like that hair. Even it doesn't look good on her. Negativity. And when we ask you why, you're like, I just don't like it. I just feel. But out of the 56, 80 being negative, what hits my understanding till today is that 95 are repetitive. It's alarming. Every day you're repeating the same thoughts that are negative. So how can you change? The first thing you need to do is to stop. Stop and breathe in. And breathe out. It takes only 3 seconds to change the thought. You're going to have people that are coming to you quarreling, arguing, complaining. Besides, you're also battling with your own things as leaders. How are you able to listen to them? Because they need to be seen, be understood, and be heard. So you cannot listen if you're not listening to your own self. Stop. The second is label the emotion. What is it? How do I feel when I'm angry? Do I know? When you're happy, do you know when you're happy? Do you know when you're pissed? So you can't change what you do not know. Somebody will ask you, today I don't feel good. What don't you feel good? What is the feeling? So we need to understand and label those emotions, because it helps us to take us to the third, knowing the bigger picture. Can we have it now, or we can have it then? If I accept this emotion to rule over me, what is it going to do after this? If I'm in a meeting and I'm shouting, or if people come to me and I can't listen to them, how am I going to build my whole leadership skills with these people? So we say that the first thing, you need to stop. After you've stopped, you need to label. After labeling, look at the bigger picture. The second is self-management. Now that you know thyself, how do you be yourself and manage thyself? There are 3. How many of us know about the thermostat? What's the function of a thermostat? Yes, it adjusts with the environment. So there's something that we normally take for granted when it comes to self-management, because we do not know. So we have to first understand what hinders us from managing ourselves. The first thing is that controlling emotions means suppressing them. Many of us want to suppress the emotions when they come. You cannot. If I come and slap her, she'll slap me back. The battle will start. If we start quarreling, she'll quarrel back. We shall quarrel until the cows come back. So saying that trying to suppress emotions does not mean that you're going to become better. You're pushing them and they're going to fight back. The second is that it is weak to show emotions, men especially. When I was being raised by my parents, they would tell me men don't cry in public. And every time I tend to cry, I first look around who's looking at me and I turn. And at times I hold it on to that. But remember, every time you cry, what are you doing? You're relieving yourself. And it doesn't matter who is crying. What matters is, are you crying if you feel like crying? The third is that once I lose control, it's too late. No, it's not what you do. It is more or less of what you do after what you've done. Many people call it scores to settle. After you've done something bad, do you go back to settle? Do you go back to try and, make things right? Because that's what is important. So you have control even when something has gone waste to go back and score to settle. So how do I manage my emotions? How do I manage thyself? The first thing is authenticity. Be thyself. I want you to repeat with me. Be myself. Be myself. Why aren't you yourself is the question. He told us his name as who he was. She told us her name as who she was. That's not you. Right? Your name, yes. Many people have that name. So is it authentic? Who can tell us the most profitable industry today? The most profitable industry in the world today. I can't hear you. Yes? You think it's oil? You think it's technology? Yes? Communication technology? No? You think it are the pearls from whoever, or gold or diamond? No. Cosmetics. Cosmetics. The women will agree with me, yeah? Shake, shake, shake. Yes, it's the most profitable industry. And the science behind it is very simple. We have lost who we are. Identity. I want to be an orator like Martin Luther King. Maybe I was not born to become an orator. But in my traits, what can I see? Do I know my weaknesses and my strength and leverage on that to be me? I may not be good at communication, but I'm good at research. Why don't I dominate that area and do research to influence or to educate the leaders so they know what to do? Authenticity comes from you evaluating who you are as a leader. Do you know your strength, your weaknesses, your values, your morals? All that, put it together and look for that niche that will make you stand out. I normally hear this song of Radio and Weasel, 1 in a Million. And Ruthie Vandross also has the same song, 1 in a Million. But guys, let's be realistic. 1 in a million? What's the population of Uganda today, as per the population report? 46 million. World population, do you know how much we are? How many we are? 8 billion. How do you tell me that I'm 1 in a million? Tell me 1 in 8.0 billion. That's when I will understand my worth. Because nobody can be like me. Yes. And now I know each and everybody of you has that skill, that ability, that knowledge, that influence and affluence and character and attitude that the world needs. But are you able to manifest it? Or you're trying to be like me? You cannot. You cannot be like her. So find yourself. Authenticity. The other is exercise. Now we're going to your physiology. How do you look like? Exercising helps you to think straight. It is not a mental cognitive ability alone, but it contributes. If you read Cybergenetics, it's a book. It talks about how your thoughts determine your appearance. If I'm outside and I hear you speaking, I will know how you appear. It's a joke. But he creates this literature and this science to show you that when you think right, you look right. Exercise, because it has the whole science on how it helps your neurons boost your emotions and boost your ability. And whenever, how many of us exercise or play football or any game? After playing, how do you feel? Don't you feel good? Absolutely. It's the ripple effect. If you feel good there, you'll come back and feel good here. The third is eat and sleep. Eat. Now you're laughing. I know you've got it. What do you eat? How do you sleep? How much time are you supposed to sleep as a leader? But I'll seal it by telling you it's not how long you sleep, it's how effective you sleep. If you can only learn how to take naps and even know what takes you to sleep. I normally tell my friends that for me, even if you lie a mat here, I'll sleep. If we go in a bar and it's loud and you tell me, Gardner, sleep, I'll sleep. Do you know why? I've mastered the art of sleeping. I know how to sleep. This business of saying, it is loud, I cannot sleep. No, me, I can, because I know. And the technique is very simple. For the last 8 years, when I just lie down like this, I start counting backwards from 30. I never get to 15. I'm in sync. How do you sleep as a leader? Because the way you sleep determines how you do everything tomorrow. The second I want you to go out and read a book. It's by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. You know, we're always trying to search for meaning, the meaning of life. How many of you have read Purpose Driven? It's the most sold book. But the yardstick is very simple. We are searching for purpose. We are searching for meaning. But in that book, he brings out these experiences of how managing yourself and managing circumstances are directly proportional to the way you respond, right? So, which helps in the way you act.
It's empowering mind.